Welcome to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple, with Rachael Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket, thanks to titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk and gold sponsor Podium.
Whispering Loudly is a Workshop Whisperer podcast. Hey, I'm producer Mel, here with Rachael Evans, of course, and we have a guest today, Aaron Crossin. And Aaron has extensive experience in owning, operating and managing small businesses. He's worked with a number of highly driven business coaches in Australia and has proven success in marketing and growing their operations. Aaron joined the Workshop Whisperer as a general manager in November 2021. Very fancy title. He oversees the daily business operations behind the scenes, delivering leadership and strategic direction to ensure the Workshop Whisperer operates cohesively to achieve its business objective. His skill set as a manager and his capacity to deliver on the dreams of the founder have helped him in the trade and construction industries and in a digital business. He's already making waves, the good kind, in the automotive aftermarket, and he's really excited to join you today on Whispering Loudly. Thank you so much for joining the show, Aaron.
Thanks very much for having me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing today.
And Aaron, thanks for joining the Workshop Whisperer.
It's been a pleasure.
So let me give some background to all of you listening out there. As Mel mentioned in Aaron's intro, Aaron joined us as General Manager of the Workshop Whisperer in November of 2021. And we basically got to the point in the Workshop Whisperer where I could not physically or mentally continue to lead the team at the size that it was in order for the team to have full support across each and every work day and all of the hours that the business was open. So it became obvious to us that we needed an extra layer of management. So we started the search for a general manager, and we were very fortunate that Aaron got ensnared in our net and he now leads the team. So Aaron, in addition to that intro, what else is there to know about Aaron Crossin?
I always hate these sorts of questions, but I think, look, I've always been in small business since I think 17. Pretty much was in small business with my father. I think it just sort of came sort of naturally. There's lots of stories that everyone shares. I think I turned our backyard into a putt thing and was trying to like sell people that are coming in there and lemonade stands and all these bits and pieces that you sort of do. So I think the entrepreneurial has always sort of been there. But I think, look, after running my own business for a number of years and sort of got moved into sort of business coaching sort of space, worked with a business coach myself, I sort of realized that there's a lot of visionaries, business owners, so they've got these sort of grand ideas. And I think implementation, execution is probably one of the areas that most of these, visionaries, obviously not you, sort of struggle with that. So there's, something what is known as an integrator, which is really my job is to sort of implement and integrate and sort of make the founder's vision come to life. So I think that's kind of really where my focus has been probably over the last, 5 or 6 years is finding fast growing businesses that they just need help implementing some structure in their business to be able to facilitate growth. So I think that's kind of the sweet spot of where I've been working and really what I love doing.
And I think for our listeners who, as we know, are auto repair shop owners, hearing this, they're probably thinking, how is this relevant to me? I'm not a coaching business or I'm not a corporate. Having a general manager, that's just not going to work in my business. But as you know, we have several clients that are at the size where general manager was their next hire and it's working wonderfully well. So why do you think it's so important for, our listeners to consider middle management?
It's a great question. And, I firstly will preface that and say that a general manager or, CEO or operations manager can actually mean something different across a lot of different industries. CEO in the sort of the corporate world is completely different. They're usually running and communicating sort of with a board as opposed to just sort of a small business level. So I think firstly, don't let the title freak you out. I think it's more kind of finding the person that you sort of need at the time time, in regards to where your business is at. So a couple of things I would say about that is I think it's important, when you're looking to bring a manager in, is to kind of look at where's your business going. So where's it evolving, and where are you growing? Are you sort of going backwards? I often use the term when the business outgrows the business owner. So that means that the business owner doesn't necessarily have the skills to get you from let's say from level 2 to level 3, might have gotten you to level 1 and to level 2, but you don't necessarily have the skills. And that's because quite often we get so busy running the business or operating in the business, and we forget that we actually need to upskill ourselves as business owners. And I think that's kind of where that eclipse happens, where the business tends to get kind of bigger. And an example could be if we're thinking about the auto repair shop industry, most of these guys come through, they've been an apprentice, they've worked through, they've become a shop manager, so they're managing sort of few staff, but then they go and start their own business, and all of a sudden there's multiple staff, there's break evens, there's margin analysis, there's all these things that come into it, and I just don't think that they probably have the skills to be able to run the business at that particular level. So they've got really two options: either upskill themselves and spend a lot of time, effort and energy getting themselves upskilled, or they find someone who can actually go and do that for them that's already at that particular sort of level. And I think that's probably really why you want to be able to hire someone at a middle management sort of level. And I think too, each stage of business comes with its own set of unique challenges, and every single business will experience them at different times as well. And I think there's really a manager for all types of businesses in growth stages. For instance, if I don't necessarily work with businesses that are doing more than 20 million, or that are looking to raise capital, or that are public listed companies, because that's not the space that I work in. So when I sort of say that I think there's a manager for all different types of businesses, I know the spot that I sort of operate in and do really well at. And that's, I guess, probably been a really good fit for the both of us, with me sort of coming to Workshop Whisperer, because I've worked with coaching companies before. I've done fair bit of growth at this level, with companies, and understand what it takes and what's required to be able to achieve the objectives that we've set ourselves, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And just to point out, when you say that, you work with businesses, you kind of know where your niche is, just in case you were thinking out there that it sounds like Aaron would be great to work for you, Aaron is not on the open market.
Want to find out how the Workshop Whisperer team can put your auto repair shop on the path to business success? Head to www.workshopwhisperer.com/whispering loudly to claim your free workshop success session with the team.
As we know, many of our auto repair shops start off as a one-man band or lead a fairly small team. When do you think is the right time? Is it, as you said, you kind of reached that level where your skill set is tapped out? And how do you prepare for transition from the business owner to the general manager?
Look, I think it really depends on a business owner, what direction that you want to take. I mean, some may be feeling the pinch. Some may feel like, the business is kind of getting bigger than them, they're not comfortable with the challenges that they're kind of facing, or they don't necessarily have solutions to some of the problems that they're sort of encountering. I think that's probably a flag for, thinking about what the next steps is sort of going to be. I think a lot of really good business owners who, are able to implement management kind of have this really sort of looking forward approach. And I think planning is an incredible skill for business owners and sort of for management as well, to have that level of foresight to be able to foresee what you actually need. And I think it's really important, if you're coming towards that point, or if you're thinking about it, is to really have that sort of proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. So it's kind of going, this is what we need. We're foreseeing something, within the next 6 months. All right, let's start putting some things in place, rather than, we probably needed someone 3 months ago. No, let's rush and get someone in just because sort of we need them. So I think, preparation is absolutely key. And that gives you time to have clarity and understanding, what do you actually want this person to do? How do you want them to do it? What do we need to have in place to make sure that they're able to do their job or their role as effectively and as efficiently as possible? So I think, it really comes down to sort of planning and just having really crystal clear clarity on, what you actually want this position to be and what you want them to do.
And yourself having, recently been through a recruiting process, what is it that you were looking for in a job ad or in the actual process of being hired, that made you think, I want to apply for this job and, I'm happy to proceed through to interview? What were you looking for?
Look, I think whenever I'm looking, which isn't super often, but I think when you look at something, for me, it's about fit. I'm not going to try and be someone that I'm not. So I'm not going to try and fit myself into a box that I know I don't fit into. So, I know that the ad, when I read it, was almost like reading it and going, oh, that sounds like me. I tick, probably 80, 90% of the boxes. And even though I've heard that before when I'm hiring other people, they go, oh, this just sounds like the absolute, this is my favorite position. It just sounds perfect for me. So it's kind of quite cliche, but I think the way that it was articulated in regards to the type of business that it is, what we're looking to do, and also, you went down to the types of software that you use, where I was able to go, I use that, I know what that one is. And so that made it really easy, especially during the recruitment process, that I could rattle these things off and say, yep, cool, I know that problem, I can fix that. And so I think, once again, just being articulate with what you need and what you require helps call out, that type of person that you're looking for as well.
And what about when you find your new manager? How do we empower them successfully? What is it that that you really enjoy and it lets you know that you're being set up for success to do your role?
Look, I think once again having a really clear understanding from the get-go. Nothing worse than sort of moving the goalposts or sort of moving targets. And I think that's something that we pretty much understood straight from the start, was that here's my vivid vision, or here's where I want the company to go. Now take this and run with it. As a manager and someone who works, basically off the side of a founder, you need to have a certain amount of authority, so an ability to make decisions on behalf of the business or the business owner. And that comes also with understanding what the limitations are. And once again, this is important for the founder or the business owner to get really clear on what can this manager, or I guess manager or general manager, operations manager, whatever it is, what do they have the authority to be able to do? Also, there needs to be a level of autonomy sort of within the role. So, nothing worse than hiring a general manager and then standing over their shoulder, watching absolutely sort of everything they do, which once again comes back down to you as a business owner being comfortable with the person that you've hired, that they have the skill set to be able to do the job, that they have, the experience. So I think there needs to be a level of autonomy there to allow them to go and do what they need to do. Responsibility, I think it's really important to be like, this is what I do and this is what, you do, and, be really clear about sort of, where you may cross over. And at the end of the day, where does the accountability lie? Because I think it really has to land with one person. We've had many discussions actually around where that accountability is. At the end of the day, the buck stops with you. But it's important for me to take accountability and responsibility for some of those things to ensure that it doesn't get, to that particular sort of level. So I think, to be able to have that authority, autonomy, responsibility, accountability, if you can have those really clear from the outset, I think it sets a really good foundation for when you're looking to, move forward with the manager, because they're clear, you're clear, it's documented, and there's measures in place to be able to, measure, performance. There may also be things like, here's what we want to achieve over the next sort of 6 months. Obviously, they have to be realistic, but to kind of go, these are the things, these are the challenges that we're facing, and this is what we want to be able to fix. So if we're looking back in 6 months' time, this is where we want to, see the business. Because I think being able to articulate that to a manager, especially someone like me, an integrator, my job is to go away and make that actually happen. So the clearer you can be with that, the amount of guidelines you can put in place to be able to control that, the better it's going to be.
Take a smoko and review us on your Apple Podcast app or wherever you listen.
For our listeners who maybe this episode has prompted them to think, we're probably actually well overdue for a manager, we've let it go too far, we're still trying to do everything ourselves, or they've been thinking about it, but they didn't know where to start. What would be your number one piece of advice to get the ball rolling?
I would say hire diligently. This position that you're potentially hiring for could be your greatest triumph or your biggest regret. So my meaning around this is this hire could change and revolutionize your business. You could find someone that comes in and is the perfect jigsaw puzzle piece that can just make everything sort of work together. And hopefully, I've been able to be that for the Workshop Whisperer, coming in, taking on the leadership, and management of the business, but just overlooking the everyday operations and just having a second set of eyes. Taking a lot of the general, communications that maybe the team was missing because, you were busy or you just weren't focused, on, developing, the people. So I think, there's an opportunity there for that person to come in and revolutionize their business. But at the same time, if you don't hire diligently, then I think they could almost like single-handedly blow it up for you. And that's why I think being really clear with, what are you responsible for? Here's what we need from you. Here's the expectations. That also sets some parameters as well. So if that particular manager, should you hire them and they make it through, but they're the wrong fit, there's going to be some red flags, early on in the piece that kind of tell you, because they've kind of gone outside what's been set or what the expectations are. So at the end of the day, I think it comes back down to the importance of having extreme clarity on what you want and what you need out of a manager. I think will just help things out. So once again, all that planning and preparation will set a really strong foundation for the person that you need and require in the business to be able to take it to the next level wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that you may have the goal that the business goes fully under management and the owner doesn't have any involvement in the day-to-day running at all. And that's a fantastic goal. It's, it may be part of your exit plan. But while you're getting up and running with your manager or general manager, it's really important that you stick with them. There's a whole transition period, and even then, you can't just abdicate your responsibilities altogether to the general manager and expect that they're just going to swim. So it's not they'll be right in 2 weeks' time and off you go to live your life. You and certainly for myself as the CEO, I'm still responsible for the vision and being able to communicate that to you, Aaron, as the general manager, the integrator, so that it gets executed. So it's not a get out of jail free card. There is work to be done, and you've got to work together. It's a partnership.
100%. No, I think too, I will often use analogies when I'm talking to the team, but, this one that I'll use could be like learning a new recipe. You're kind of handing over the recipe and say, oh, cool, these are all the ingredients, this is the method, just whip it together and then it's done. But we all know that practice makes perfect. And so I think it takes a while to be able to, really be able to nail down a dish, and to sort of get it sort of perfect. And it would be under guidance from someone like yourself going, no, we do it this way, we change this around and we do that. And then that gives us, this result. And I think that's kind of the epitome of what we're trying to achieve here, is to kind of go, how do we transition so that it's as smooth as possible, but also, we're heading in a particular direction and we're going to go as fast as we possibly can or want to as well. So, I think those sorts of things that we've, spoken about today, I think are really, really important. And also too, I think, it can be quite hard to be able to find, the ideal or right person. But I think there, with the planning comes a little bit of patience, and also be open to, it doesn't necessarily have to be, in this industry, a workshop general manager. I think someone with management skills, once again, depending on what you're looking for and what you need. I have never worked in a mechanic or a shop or a repair shop, but a lot of those skills come in, in regards to what I'm doing, to be able to sort of manage the team, lead the team, but not necessarily have a lot of experience in repair shops as such. So, I think there's some transferable skills there that can be used across that. So keep your mind open to maybe different industries, because the management kind of, I guess, transfers across a lot of different industries, and someone from a different industry could actually bring some really cool, different techniques, tactics, strategies that can actually accelerate, the business and kind of get you out of what you've always been doing and kind of getting the same result.
Yeah. And I think it's also, one of the things that I learned from you early was that a great manager will enjoy finding problems and working out for themselves how to solve them. So it's not and perhaps enjoy is not always the word that we could use to describe that, but they're going to be natural problem solvers. They have a natural want to solve problems. So make sure that that's on your list to identify in the manager that you hire. And management in this middle management sector, it is a role that I would use a recruiter for. And wherever you are listening, whether that's Australia, New Zealand, North America, in the UK, there will be boutique recruiters who just recruit for C-suite roles and general manager roles. So find one of those. If you're in Australia, please contact us and we'll give you a great recommendation that we used at the Workshop Whisperer and a number of our clients have used in the engine room as well. But it is worth investing in a boutique recruiter to help you find the right person, take a lot of the legwork out. They should come with a guarantee as well, so that if you did for some reason pick the wrong person or they couldn't start for some reason, the recruiter will start the recruitment process for you again. Aaron Crossin, thank you so much for sharing your insights today with our listeners. Lots of great advice in there.
Thanks for listening to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple with Rachael Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket. Thanks to titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk and gold sponsor Podium. Want to find out how the Workshop Whisperer team can put your auto repair shop on the path to business success? Head to www.workshopwhisperer.com/whispering loudly to claim your free workshop success session with the team.